Hello and welcome back to the Daddy Dad and Me YouTube channel. As I said in my last video, I wanted this video to be more so about our adoption journey and more so around the stage 1, stage 2 assessment process, and also around both approval and matching panels. Because they're mostly the most questions that we get asked by people, and that's not to be nosy. It's usually because people don't understand that it is quite a long process, can be quite intrusive, which we've said before, and it's also there's a lot of unknowns. A lot of people aren't particularly aware of the adoption process, hence why we have our blog, we have our YouTube, and it's just really to share and celebrate that awareness to people. So stage 1 is more so really references, medicals. You get I think it's about a 30 or 40 page booklet in which you complete, and it kind of gives a life story to date within a nutshell, within a booklet, and it kind of goes through things that you celebrate, birthdays, Christmases, anniversaries, etc. Your current relationship, previous relationships, a little bit about education, about the reasons why you want to parent, how you see yourself parenting. So you find as you go throughout the process that you almost repeat some bits, but you go into more of a granular detail, especially during the stage 2 assessment sessions. So stage 1 can differ between local authority and voluntary agencies, or VA and LAs as you might hear them referred to. We found from our experience that we didn't have the references within stage 1 where a lot of other people do, particularly for me and my employer. That wasn't until stage 2 that the agency that we're with wanted to carry out that reference with them. So yeah, it's just standard searches, DBS search, medicals, nothing really to worry about. Any questions that we had, we did ask at the time. Between stage 1 and stage 2, one of the reasons for going with our agency was that they were very flexible, as I mentioned in a previous video, and that we were able to take up to a 6-month break between stage 1 and stage 2. Just so happened at that time we felt that we kind of wanted to recharge our batteries, and really just to go into stage 2 with a fresh pair of eyes, rather than kind of going through stage 1 straight through into stage 2, which would have been quite a long stretch to be quite involved, and it can be quite intense as well. Stage 1 takes 2 months, and there is a particular time frame which I think is set by Ofsted, in that has to be a 2-month period. So everything is kind of crammed into that time. Can happen every day, some things might happen kind of once a week, but it is quite full on within that time. Going into stage 2, that can take up to 4 months, but can take slightly longer, and as you'll find as I explain the reasons why, it's very dependent on third parties and other people and to how that much information comes back, what they need to do in order to put you forward for approval panel. So stage 2 is all about the assessment. So you are going through an assessment right from day 1, but stage 2 is definitely about the I think there was about 6 assessments that we had. 4 were together, as in myself and my husband, and then we had 1 individually each. Just to explain the individual ones, if anyone's kind of concerned or alarmed, thinking why they kind of wanting to speak with me on my own, it's not there to catch you out. It really is just a general one-to-one conversation with you, and just so you don't have somebody else almost looking at you, I won't say swaying your answers, but so you can be very honest and open with them. There may be concerns that you have, and there were questions that they were asking, and it was just for you to really open up to the social worker about, you'll say, your relationship. And sometimes you may not necessarily want to do that in front of a partner or a husband, wife, etc. I didn't see it was any more intrusive than other questions that they asked, and it was pretty straightforward from there. Many of the other sessions that they speak to you about, most of them lasted between 2 and 3 hours each. Some people find it can be more, but again, it just depends on how much you have to speak about. Again, it goes into what you filled out within your booklet, so they discover more about that, more about your support network, because they will become vital once you do adopt in supporting you. If there are days that you may not be able to get out, or you're ill and your son or daughter is ill, you're going to need other people to rally around and help you. So again, that's something that they really look towards. Myself, I had to go and find voluntary work with children because it's not something that I've done before, and that is a requirement that you need to have childcare with children that you don't know. So for myself, I have friends that have children, but that, because I know them too well, they needed me to go and work with children that I didn't know too well, to form those relationships and to see how those relationships go. So I found a local Beavers club that I went with for about a year or so, and I actually found it really beneficial and helpful for me in finding things that I didn't know about myself. So yeah, definitely, if you have to do it, don't be frightened of it. It's a very enlightening journey, as I found, but again, you may find otherwise. So yes, the 4 other sessions, say 3 hours each roughly, it was talking about how you were parented as a child, speaking about your childhood, going through from day dot, I wouldn't say from the day you were born, but from your earliest memory, and speaking through kind of what happened from there, any kind of pivotal times within your childhood. Say for me, I was bullied quite heavily throughout school, so that was quite a particular memorable time that I had to talk about, and how I came through the other side. And what they're really looking for is how resilient you are. You need to be resilient as a parent. You need to be able to kind of dust yourself off, be able to pick yourself up regardless of what happens. And that was really it for the sessions. What they're trying to do is, you'll often hear people, apologies, you'll often hear people talking about approval panel, and that is what the assessments are there for, to put you in front of a panel after those 6 months, that time scale, and to say yes, you are ready, and we will approve you as adopters. And that's what those sessions are leading up to. And it's really your chance and the social worker's chance to get to know you inside out, know what upsets you, know what you've gone through, perhaps know how resilient you have been throughout your life to date, because that's very important. They have to demonstrate to the approval panel exactly how far you've come, what you've gone through, what you've experienced in life. And as personally speaking, as a couple, we've gone through quite a bit personally, both together and apart, and that makes you very resilient together, let alone on your own. So again, that's really important and what they're looking for. Speaking about approval panel, we had, so from our experience, it was a panel of 12 people. That's quite uncommon, we were told. Usually it can be anywhere kind of from 6 upwards, but it's usually around 6 to 10 people. But we had quite a few more people that day, purely because the panel that day were being assessed by somebody else. So there was more people in the room. They would have read your PAR, so your adopter's report, and that's your social worker almost writing your story since the time that you've been in assessment, the training that you've been on, books you may have read, training you've taken part in. They received that report several weeks before panel, so that again, by the time you get there, you're not having to repeat yourself. It's purely them asking you questions, things that may have come up. It may have been in your medical, asking you certain things about any illnesses, any conditions that you have. Also, some of the questions that we had asked about why adoption, why not surrogacy, and we particularly said that we weren't seeking a baby, we wanted more of a toddler. So again, that was a question that we were asked as well. We were in there for about half an hour or so, which is around kind of standard for most people. Sometimes we found from speaking to other people that was quite a long panel for us to be within. Some people just go in and out within 10-15 minutes, a few questions, that's it. You go into the panel, again, say we were only in there half an hour, asking us questions, and then we came out, and that's where they deliberate within that room together. And it's really them saying, yes, we approve you as adopters. we were told right from the get-go with our agency that you would never go to panel if they didn't believe that you wouldn't pass it. So we were quite confident that we would. Obviously it's in the back of your mind, you're quite concerned, it's something you've never been through before, it's a very new process, and unless you knew anybody or know anybody that's gone through the adoption process, we had nothing in which to set ourselves against. So again, very nerve-wracking, which I think is a very normal experience for everybody that goes through it. And yeah, they came out I think after about 5 or 10 minutes and said, yes, we've made the recommendation that you're approved as adopters. What you then have to receive is the ADM, so the agency decision maker, and it's an independent person that hasn't been on the panel, and they are there to read your report, read the panel minutes, and then they will either agree or not agree with the decision made there, and that should usually come after around 10 days or so. So that's approval panel in a nutshell. What people don't then realise is that you then go on to a matching panel, and that is once you have been linked with a particular child that you would have seen profiles which I've discussed before. So once you've been linked with a child, formally linked with a child, you then start working towards matching panel, and what that is there for is basically to bring the child and you together within a report. So you'll have the child's report, your report, and that has to then go towards matching panel, and there are certain kind of areas they need to discover and to document. So are there any particular needs, how the adopters can meet those needs, do they think the link is strong, and really going from there and explaining the benefits of that. So that's matching panel. So often people get confused between approval and matching. So approval is just to approve you as adopters, not approving you as parents of an adopted child. So they're the differences there. For us, it's been a very long process. I think from the time when we started, so that was July 2018, that was information event, and we got matched with Little Man in March, so a few months ago. So by the time it all kind of comes through and is, I would say, ended in that respect, it's going to be a good few years, which we never even saw, we never expected to happen. And it's something that we always say to people, don't be put off by it. It is a long process, but you see as you go through it the reasons as to why that assessment has to be quite rigorous. It's very personal, so it's all about you, but they have to know, the children that are being put into your forever home, for their forever home I should say, sorry, they have to know that you're going to be able to cope, because it's not, those children have witnessed trauma and have been subject to trauma, neglect, abuse, and you're going to have to be quite strong in dealing with that and finding your way and the child's way through life, explaining certain things as they grow up. And what people don't always realise is that adoption is celebrated. It's not a taboo subject to the child. They are told that they are adopted. It's not something, I would say, referring to olden days, when it wasn't spoken about. It's very hush-hush, or kind of silent conversations, and that's something that we will talk about with Little Man. We will tell people proudly that he is adopted, so it's not something new to him. He knows exactly kind of what's happened in an age-appropriate way at that time that he needs to know. And yeah, it's been a journey, I would say. You'll probably read from some of the blog posts that we've had very high highs and very low lows, and that's something again to expect, in that it's a very emotional process. It is an emotional roller coaster, and again, we knew it would be quite involved, but we never expected to have encountered so many emotions and to go through so many. And it is very true in that that's something that you need to prepare for. So we're quite emotional people just generally, and we have struggled at times with that, personally speaking, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's again finding how resilient you are and to persevere with everything. there are times when we thought, oh gosh, it is really tough, but you just have to plow on through, and you find your own way. You speak to other people. We spoke to other bloggers. We spoke to other parents, even friends and family, and just from doing things just as this vlog, for instance, it's raising awareness about adoption to others, and it opens so many people's eyes. I talk about it to a lot of my work colleagues, and there's a lot of misconceptions, and that's a video that I might end up doing a little bit down the line, about all the misconceptions there are out there, and there are many that we have encountered, and it's just about bringing that awareness to people's minds, in that things have changed over the years quite drastically and dramatically, and yeah, it's not at all as people, when they hear the word adoption, it's not like it was 30-40 years ago. It has changed very much so. So that's really the assessment process. I would say it's more so around the stage 2 that you find it's more intrusive. Stage 1 is definitely just kind of standard searches, DBS, medicals, and yeah, the assessments we've almost referred to as 3 therapy, purely because you're talking about yourself, and it's things, you end up saying things within those sessions that you may have not processed before, or it's only when you've spoken about it to an independent party as our social worker, and they start to verbalise it back to you, that you then process it in an entirely different way. And that actually happens to me. I don't know if anyone else has found that at all. So yeah, that is the assessment sessions, and the stage 1 and stage 2 in a nutshell. Don't be frightened of panels if you are going through the adoption process. Approval panel, I would say, was almost quite enjoyable. We were grilled in some ways, but it was quite passionate for us to get the reasons why we wanted to adopt, and we did find we became quite, yeah, no, this is why we've done this is what's happened to us, this is what we've gone through, and it really cemented our reasons for doing everything that we've done, and why we talk about it so openly with people. So we've been very open on the blog about it. Obviously certain things we won't talk about for safeguarding reasons and to protect our son in the future and for now, and yeah, we celebrate it all the time and talk about it and raise awareness. So please do get in touch if you are going through it. Don't be frightened to reach out. Say that's exactly how we first started. We ended up speaking to people and just really getting to know other adopters, and that support work is vital, whether you have your child or not. Speak to people. It's the only way in which we found other people are going through it too. So yeah, please do subscribe, have a look at the blog, so it's regularly updated. There are more things coming. We also have the Facebook page, Daddy Dad and Me, as well, so give it a thumbs up, and yeah, join the journey, and yeah, we may have news for you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.